Joining us on this C-SPAN Google Hangout is Michael Shear of the New York Times and Ethan Klapper of Huffington Post. The iPhone app is making its debut on a number of fronts with the Romney and the Obama campaign. Michael Shear, we'll begin with you. How so?
Well, it's interesting. You have two sort of different approaches. On the Republican side, Mitt Romney's released the kind of fun little app that he hopes his supporters will download that will provide them an early peek at who the vice presidential nominee is going to be. They promise in the app that whenever that announcement is made, it'll come through that app first before even they release it to people like me in the press and elsewhere. They hope it doesn't leak, I suppose. On the Obama side, though, it's a little bit different. They're actually trying to use it as an organizing tool. In the old days, if you wanted to canvass, go door to door for a candidate like President Obama, you'd have to go to the office in your local neighborhood, pick up a list of names of people in your neighborhood, and walk around and check off, are they supporting the candidate, are they opposing the candidate, are they Democrats, Republicans. Now all of that is going to be done remotely on the app, so that you don't even have to make that first trip to the office. You just punch a couple buttons in your phone, and there's a list of people, and you can go knock on doors. And they hope that will open up the idea of going door to much larger number of people than would normally do it.
And Ethan Klapper, how do you think the Obama campaign specifically, will use this information?
They are building a huge database of voters and who they can target ahead of Election Day, and they have said multiple times that this election will be won based on this kind of grassroots organizing. So the data that they are collecting from this new app is going to go feed this new tool called Dashboard, and basically they will use that to target voters, especially in swing states, ahead of November 6th.
Michael Shear, I realize this is a broad question when you ask where this technology is all leading, but if you keep in mind just a couple of years ago, nobody heard of Twitter, and now that is part of the political lexicon. Barack Obama using a tweet to announce Vice President Biden 4 years ago, and now we've even moved beyond that.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that struck me is the extent to which this technology is breaking down barriers to participation, right? I mean, it used to be that the people that you knew who were really, really hardcore political animals, were the ones that, got up early to go down to their local office and lick envelopes and stuff, flyers in for their local school board representative or whatever. It really took a lot of effort to be that involved, and thus the rest of the people that you knew, it's like, well, I might write a check, but that's all I'm going to do. The idea behind all of this technology is to kind of break down those barriers, to make it a lot more convenient, easy to be a real politically involved person, and the race here is whichever candidate is and team is better at that. They hope, as Ethan was saying, on the margins will mean the difference between maybe winning or losing in a state where really the polls suggest it's going to be close. A lot of these battleground states may be won or lost by less than a percentage point.
And Ethan Klapper, there's a quote from Teddy Goff, who is the president's digital director. He said, "This is nothing flashy, this app that is being applied for grassroots organizers. This is a tool, a campaign tool, and there's an important distinction with that."
Absolutely. They're putting this tool, it's this app, but they're putting this organizing tool in the hands of the masses, this interface with this dashboard system into the hands of the masses. It's a mass market kind of a thing, and I have to believe that they're hoping that they're going to even recruit volunteers to use that tool and to canvass their neighborhood and to do all of those things. There are some flashy features. I mean, it will tell you about how the president's record has affected people in your area, and it will tell you, if there are any new voter ID laws in your area and what that means. But the killer feature here is this interface with the dashboard system and how they're putting that in the hands of a lot of people.
And Michael Shear, you've covered a lot of politics, campaigns and political parties trying to target voters, demographic of voters, and now this app is able to identify individual voters in individual homes or apartments. The campaign knows who they are, who's going to go to the polls, and how strongly they support the president or not.
Yeah, you know, the Republicans really probably had the edge on this a bunch of years back. Karl Rove famously used this idea of micro-targeting, where you don't just broad brush an area as all one thing or another, but you can go in there and use data to kind of pick out the people who are, more homes or neighborhoods that are particularly good for the president or bad for the challenger or what have you. But I think the Democrats, under President Obama's team in 2008 and now again in 2012 are really kind of pushing that envelope even further. And the idea of having the technology in your hand, as you said, Steve, makes it even more narrowly tailored to just literally individual people that you can find out what they want, what they're looking at, as Ethan said, which of the subject areas are they clicking on the app. I mean, all that data is going to be, compiled and put into this big database.
Final question for both of you, and we'll go back to Ethan Klapper of Huffington Post. As somebody who is covering new technology in this campaign, what questions do you have, or what have you learned as you follow this part of the political story?
I've learned just how this is really constantly evolving technology, and I touched on this in a story I wrote a little earlier today. How this was done in a text message last cycle in 2008, and this year the Romney campaign's going to announce it through an app, and then the Obama campaign, in terms of the evolution, had a little thing that would look at your phone book and see, where your friends live and if they live in battleground states or not. And now we're talking some really advanced database tie-in to their whole big dashboard system. So I've just learned and just how much technology can evolve in 4 years. It's pretty amazing.
Michael Shear, your thoughts?
I mean, I would offer only one little note of skepticism here or caution, which is that, campaigns that fall in love with these gimmicks. I mean, ultimately, this is a sort of technological gimmick that can be helpful at the margins. But at the end of the day, the campaigns that fall in love with these kind of gimmicks sometimes find that they don't actually, on election day, produce as much, as much result as they think they might. And at the end of the day, it's still about a message that people will believe in, and then getting the people who to actually turn out at the polls, and that's ultimately still what it's about.
Michael Shear of the New York Times and Ethan Klapper of Huffington Post, thanks both for hanging out with us on the C-SPAN Google Hangout. We appreciate it.
Sure.
Thanks for having me.